Well, hello again, Sharon from Mad Paper Crush here, and it is that time again to do some planning. So I pulled out my little junk journal, bullet journal planner here, and we are going to dive in and do some setup for July, believe it or not. So before I get started, I just kind of wanted to review what I had done in June and how it's working for me. So the first thing that I did differently is, let me see if I can find my May overview. Okay, so normally I do my monthly overview sort of in a vertical format like this, and I've always enjoyed this. I like doing it that way. So I tried something different for June, and I made a monthly layout, a 2-page, sort of in the format of a normal calendar. And I thought this worked just as well for me. I like this because it goes together faster than something like this, but I did still use it. So the other thing is sometimes these squares were a little small for me. I like kind of having a full line. So this is one of the things I just wanted to try out, and I will definitely do it again in the future, but I definitely won't do it all the time. And then another new thing that I tried was a habit tracker. So I had an outdoor tracker, a quiet time tracker, in my garden tracker, and cleaning tracker. And I like them. I'm not sure I'm going to do those all the time either. So it was fun to do, but I'm not sure why I would go back and look at them. So I don't know that I'll do them again, because oftentimes I'm, like a week out and I'm trying to remember, okay, did I do that day or something like that? So I'm not sure I'm going to do those again. I did do sort of a different gratitude page, and I liked this. I do think that I'll be doing gratitude pages just because I think they're good for me. I liked how this one worked out and that I'm kind of, going around the middle. So I'm still working on that, and I like that. So I'll probably do gratitude pages in the future. So I still have a couple of weeks that were, as I'm recording, I still have a couple weeks left in June. So these pages are kind of set up and ready for me to get started in June. And I thought I would start July here. So I kind of moved ahead a couple pages, and that's the great thing about a bullet journal is you can kind of start anywhere you want. And all you have to do to make sure you can find yourself again is be sure you're updating your index. So I've updated my June index so far, what I have for June. And when I start July, I will do the same thing again. So I'm leaving, this is the last week of July, the first couple days, or I'm sorry, the last week of June, first couple days of July. And I'll probably use this for a list or maybe a memory or maybe even some meal planning, just because I kind of like the way it looked. I used my the Gardener digital kit for some of these pages. So I'm just going to leave that one go. I'm not sure exactly what I'll do for it yet, but 63 isn't in my index, so I could use it for anything I want to do. And then I'm going to leave these two possibly for additional wrap up or maybe even some other notes or, some work things that I like to put in. So those two I'm just kind of leaving go as they are as well, because I wanted to sort of start with 2 blank pages. So I'm starting here on page 66, and I'm going to use this time, because I kind of missed it. I did my watercolors last month, but I think I'm going to go back to sort of a junk journal style, and I'm going to use my digital kit that's called Lazy Summer, and it's Mad Plans. That's what I like to call them because it helps you do planning. So I'm going to pull out some background pages, and I'm going to pull out some of the ephemera, and then I'm also going to do the weekly pages to get myself going. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my monthly overview. And if you've been with me before, you know that I have these bullet journal helpers, and I think that's if you would like to get these, this is a freebie that I have. You just have to go to madpapercrush.com/bullet journal setup, and it will take you to a couple of pages where it has the vertical monthly setup that I like to do, and it also has some months for 2022 there for you so that you can use them as well. So I'll probably be using that. And then also some different words and stuff to mark your lists and things like that. So I'll be using some of those too to get started. And so I'm just going to pull those out and have them aside. This is the page that I want to use for my July overview, and I'm going to use this side of this page to start that. So I'm just going to cut that and glue that down and then get my bullet journal starters on there. So I'm going to look for, I need to go 31 days because July has 31 days. So I'm pulling out one of my strips that has 31 days on it. And then also July starts on a Friday. So I'm going to pull one of these out, and then I'll probably have to go back in and find a couple of extra days for down at the bottom here. So that's what I'm going to use, and I'm going to look through my scraps and see if I have something already to go for that June date or July date, sorry. And then we'll go ahead and get started. I cut apart my paper and I had to trim it down a little bit to fit inside of the book there, but once I pasted it down, I realized that I had covered up my page numbers. So I wanted to quickly just write them back in so that when I go to do my index, I will have my pages so that I can see them. And then I chose the bullet journal helper that has the numbers from 1 to 31. Since July has 31 days, I am going to use that one. And these bullet journal helpers I had printed out on a full page label sheet, clear label, so that I could just take the backing off and it would go over top, any picture or anything that I had without covering anything up. It would just kind of show through. So I trimmed it down on either side of the numbers so that there wasn't a lot of overlap, and then pulled the backing off and put my numbers down. Now I pulled out the days of the week that started with Friday, since that's when July starts, and you can see I'm trimming it down here too, but I must have already taken a couple of days off of this one because it didn't quite go to the end. So I'm going to put it down from, I think it goes from 1 to 29, and I'm going to line it up there at the top with number 1. The Friday will be lined up with number 1, and then I'll put it all the way down to the bottom, trying to get them as close as I can so that I can write anything in that I want to. And then you can see I pulled out another one there, and I just snipped off the Saturday and Sunday days that were at the top of that one, since those were the 2 days I was missing at the end because there was a Friday at the end and I needed to put in Saturday and Sunday. So I add them to the bottom, and now I have all my dates and days of the week ready to go in my monthly overview there. And then I did decide to take the full month in the calendar format and just add it to the right side there, so that if I wanted to look back and see the days sort of lined up how I'm used to seeing them in a calendar, I can do that. I also grabbed the month July title that was in the bullet journal setup kit there and put that in as well. Now I went and grabbed some more of the bullet journal helpers that I had actually just printed out on a regular white sheet of paper. I used the one that had sort of the tea-dyed background, and I'm using the Don't Forget label, and then also some of the circle bullets there that I can put my monthly goals or my monthly tasks on this side of the page. So because this one, the title was printed on paper, I have to glue it down, and the other one was from the kit or the page that I had printed on the full page clear label, and so I just have to take the backing off and put that one down. All right, now I flip the page over and I'm going to do my first weekly spread. So I grabbed the yellow weekly spread and cut that out because there was a little bit of yellow in that crazy polka dotted scrapbook page that was on the right hand side there. And because that page was so busy, I decided to just cut out a couple of the note cards from the kit to cover some of that up. So I like the page because it has some of the colors that are in the weekly spread and even on the little piece of washi tape that I have on the left hand side of that page. But I thought it would be good to cover up some of those polka dots just because it was really kind of busy. So I'm cutting out 2 of the cards. I'm going to distressed ink all around them and then glue them down. All right, I decided this page needed a little bit more, so I looked through the pages to find the stamps that are in the kit there, and I think I'm just going to kind of add them as some decoration on the page. So I'm going to cut them out. I think they're about 1.5 inches tall and maybe an inch wide, but they also have some of the colors from that polka dot page, so I thought they would go nicely over top. So I am going to cut them apart so that I can kind of skew them and add them, however I want. And I'll also add some distress ink to these because I always like something with a little extra distress ink. So I'm just going to play with them a little bit at the top of the page and decide how I want to see them there, and then I'm going to glue them down. And I'm just gluing them down now, but I wanted to just let you know, in case you were wondering, that I use the glue stick that you see there for most of the paperwork that I do in my planner. It keeps things very flat. Some of the other glues that come out in a bead often cause my paper to wrinkle, so I don't like to use that for the pages and sometimes for some of the decorations. I will be using a different glue later in the project here, but for now I'm just using this glue stick right to the edges to hold everything down. Now, of course, I felt like that weekly spread needed a little more, so I went searching through my little envelope of already cut bullet journal setup items to try and find something that said this week. And I was looking and looking, and you can see it just kind of fell out as I was just about to give up. So that was perfect. So you can see at the bottom of the left side page there, I have some space. So I grabbed the little title that says this week. That I had printed on that full page label, and I'm just going to take the backing off and add that down at the bottom there just to add a little bit more to that page. All right, turning the page, we're going to start our second week setup. So I'm just looking for the other side of the page that I had already cut, and I'm using just the other one that's included in the kit there. This is one of the ones that doesn't have the days of the week on it, but I'm just going to cut it out and glue it down to the left side. That's a blank page there, so that I can get this week set up as well, and it will be ready to go. I'm adding some distress because the edges are a little bit white. I didn't quite cut it exactly, so I'm adding a little distress there, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue that one down as well. Now that that page is all in, I'm going to finish up my 2 weekly spreads that I had put in here by adding in the days of the week and the dates so that these 2 weeks are all ready to go. So I'm just checking my calendar to make sure I'm getting it right, because leave it to me, I will definitely get it wrong. So I am starting the month off there on the Monday and then putting the dates in, and I'll just add the days of the week underneath. And then I'm also going to do the same thing, adding the dates in on the second week as well. I decided that I wanted to add a little something special to my first week there. So I cut out one of the tags that are in the kit, and I'm just going to glue it down to a scrap piece of coffee dyed paper that I have. I thought I'd make a little note card from it so that I can use it in the book. I want to keep this rather flat, so I'm not going to be adding too much embellishment to it, but adding it to the coffee dyed paper, it kind of gives it two sides that I could write something on if I wanted to. So after I glue it down, I'm just going to cut it out so that I have the coffee dyed paper on the back there, and then I'm going to take it over to my sewing machine and give it a little zigzag stitch all the way around, and then we can place it into the journal. All right, so here you can see I've added my stitching to the tag there, and it'll be perfect for like a little place to write on both sides. And I went and grabbed my fabric washi tape. I believe this is Tim Holtz fabric washi tape. And I'm cutting off just about an inch of the tape there. And since it's very wide, I'm going to cut it in half to get my two pieces. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of figure out where I want to put the tag on the page. And as you can see, I kind of wanted to make it into a flap so that it folds out and you can read both sides of it. So I'm taking the backing off the tape, and that of course always takes longer than I want it to. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to add the tape. I'm trying to decide which way to put it there, but I'm just going to put the tape a little bit onto the tag, a little bit onto the page at the top and the bottom there. So I'm just using two pieces to hold it together. This fabric washi tape is very sticky, so it works really well, but it's also very flexible so that my flap should fold in nicely and stay relatively flat inside my planner as well. So I love the way that turned out. And as I went looking back over all my pages, I realized my first two pages were very blue. So I decided to fussy cut a couple of the strawberries that were in the kit there, and I'm just going to add them to these two pages here to give them a nice little pop. And I am going to be using my glitter glue here, which is different than the glue stick, so that I don't tear off the stems of my strawberries. All right, there we go. My setup for July, or at least the first half of July, is all done, and I'm really excited with how the pages turned out. So it was fast and simple, but it still inspires me and has some character to it, and I love that. So we have our monthly overview page. I love how this little diver here is kind of in the background, and she'll be seen. I have a page here for my monthly goals or tasks that I don't want to forget to do. And then I even put just the full month here, the calendar month down here. But if you don't mind this format, you don't have to do this. I just kind of sometimes like to refer to it in a calendar. And then I have my first week set up here. So I used one of the blank pages and just wrote in the dates. And then for this side, I didn't know that this polka dot scrapbook paper was in the book. So the way I made my junk journal planner, I kind of put random pages throughout it, so I never know what I'm going to come upon. But I thought with this, the yellow page for the week, it looked really good with the red and orange and different colors that were on the scrapbook page. So I just went with it. So I could have, used this for something else or, put something over it if I wanted to, but I really kind of like the way it added a little pop of color. And I added just my little stamps up here at the top. And then I also added two of the planner cards in here to use for lists or, to-dos or even a daily, if I wanted to flesh things out more than I have in here, I could use these as well. And then I also cut out one of the tags and I added just some tea-dyed paper or coffee-dyed paper to it, sewed around the edge and added some little fabric washi tape tabs here. And now I have this cute little flip that's in here and I love how that turned out. So I think it's really coming together as a theme, even with this paper that I didn't expect to be there. And then the last thing I did was I just added another week in here. So I'm good all the way up to Sunday the 17th. So I have 2 full weeks ready to go that I can use to start planning. And my next page is another one of my sort of collage planner pages here that I can use for lists and things like that. So I should be good for the first 2 weeks. So I hope you enjoyed this little planner video. I hope that you go out and grab the setup freebie that I have for you at madpapercrush.com/bullet journal setup and see how easy it is to create something artsy, inspiring, vintage in your bullet journal planner. Thanks so much for watching, friends, and I hope you have a great month. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.